Yeah, we know that Inter Milan have been interested in the player for some time. Liverpool will hold a very similar high value for Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones has been at Liverpool for almost his entire life. He's won the Premier League, he's won the FA Cup, he's played Champions League football, he's made more than 200 appearances for the club he joined as a 9-year-old. So why does it suddenly feel like Liverpool might be preparing to move on from him? There's a specific answer to that question, and it isn't just about goals or assists. It's a combination of modest attacking output, genuinely brutal competition for his position, a viral pre-season argument over a captain's armband that split the fan base into two camps, and a new manager whose entire footballing philosophy might not have room for the version of Jones we've seen so far. By the end of this, I want you to understand exactly why I think Liverpool have reached a genuine decision point on him, not just another summer of noise. If you're finding this breakdown useful, go ahead and subscribe now, because we're about to get into the statistics, the social media fallout, and the tactical question that's actually driving this whole debate. Let's start with the numbers, because they're the foundation everything else builds on. Last season, Jones made 34 Premier League appearances, but managed just 1 goal and 2 assists according to Opta's tracked data. Across his entire Liverpool career, he's now made 228 appearances and scored 22 goals, a return that for a central midfielder who's had genuine license to get forward throughout his time at the club is modest rather than damning, but modest all the same. Here's what Jones's defenders will tell you, and they're not wrong. Goals and assists were never really his game. He's a technical, press-resistant midfielder built for ball retention and progression rather than end product. Someone capable of playing multiple roles across midfield, comfortable receiving under pressure in areas where other players panic. He's a genuine academy story, a boyhood Liverpool fan from Toxteth who's already delivered major trophies for the club he grew up supporting. That's not nothing, and any honest assessment has to start by acknowledging it. But then came the moment that changed the conversation completely. After Liverpool's pre-season win over Wrexham at Yankee Stadium, footage began circulating online showing Jones in a heated exchange with Dominik Szoboszlai as the team walked around the pitch applauding supporters. New angles emerged over the following days.
Not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
Yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works, okay? You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram.
And the fuller picture became clearer. Szoboszlai had been Liverpool's captain for the match in Virgil van Dijk's absence, and when he was substituted in the 75th minute, he passed the armband not to Jones, the club's longest-serving player on the pitch and a first-teamer since 2018, but to Kostas Tsimikas, a second-half substitute who'd only joined Liverpool in 2020. Jones reacted visibly. Further footage showed Tsimikas removing the armband and throwing it to the ground during the exchange before Jones picked it up, embraced Szoboszlai, and the group applauded the crowd together. Except there's one problem with treating this as a minor moment. It didn't stay contained. Szoboszlai was asked about it directly after the match and initially avoided the question entirely.
Yeah, I think now a couple of guys left and maybe we are not the oldest in the team, but we've been here for a long time, and for example, Flo is the same example, Ryan is the same example, Maka if he comes back, Curtis, Alex.
Which only intensified speculation rather than calming it. It took several more days before he addressed it properly, telling reporters plainly, "We are completely cool," and explaining that the disagreement stemmed from Jones defending the tradition and respect he felt should surround how the armband gets handled, not personal animosity between the two players. Notably, when Szoboszlai wore the armband again in the following friendly against Leeds, he passed it directly to Jones this time, a detail Liverpool-focused outlets pointed to as evidence the whole episode really was, in the words of one report, a storm in a teacup. That's the version presented by both players and by outlets trying to calm the situation down. But here's where the entire debate genuinely shifted, because that's not remotely how large parts of the fan base read it. The comment sections underneath the viral footage told a very different story to the official clarifications. Reactions on outlets like Court Offside included fans calling Jones, in their words, too big for his boots, an average squad player who should be sold immediately given Inter Milan's interest, with one comment reading, For what Inter are offering, I would sell him in a heartbeat. Others pushed back hard on that framing, arguing that defending the club's leadership traditions as a boyhood fan and longest-serving outfield player on the pitch was, if anything, evidence of exactly the standards Liverpool should want from their remaining academy graduates. The sentiment genuinely split down the middle rather than landing clearly on one side, which tells you this incident became a lightning rod for a debate about Jones that was already simmering before Wrexham ever kicked off. Now compare that emotional, symbolic argument about leadership and armbands with what Iraola actually needs tactically, because this is where the debate becomes genuinely serious rather than just a social media argument. Iraola's football, built over 3 seasons transforming Bournemouth into a European qualifying side, depends on a hybrid press, compact and zonal until the ball's forced wide, flipping into aggressive man-marking pressure, followed by fast vertical transitions the instant possession is regained. It's a system that demands relentless off-ball work rate, physical intensity sustained across 90 minutes, and players who can win the ball back high and immediately progress it forward rather than simply retaining possessions safely. Here's where the entire debate becomes complicated, because Jones's game has never really been built around that specific profile. His strength has always been technical retention and press resistance in tight areas, a different skill to relentless high-volume pressing intensity. Compare him directly to the players currently occupying Liverpool's midfield. Szoboszlai started all 53 available matches last season, created more chances than anyone else in the squad, and physically embodies exactly the box-to-box, press-triggering profile Iraola's system is built around. Gravenberch has developed into one of the league's better deep-lying midfielders, anchoring possession with genuine positional discipline. Mac Allister offers vision and progression from deeper positions. And now there's Trey Nyoni pushing for minutes too. A teenager whose early pre-season performances have shown exactly the dual defensive plus progressive profile the system craves. That's 4 midfielders, 3 of them established internationals, all arguably better tactical fits for Iraola's specific demands than Jones currently is. And here's what makes this so difficult for Jones specifically. He's now 25 years old, not a teenager anymore whose ceiling is still theoretically unknown. 6 full seasons into his first-team career, this is roughly the point where a player's underlying numbers should reflect what he actually is, not just what he could still become. That's not a cruel standard, it's simply the standard every serious footballer eventually gets judged against. Potential is a currency that runs out with age. And Jones's modest attacking output at a genuinely elite club over that many seasons is difficult to explain away purely as bad luck or poor system fit forever. It's worth being fair about how his career actually developed too, because it hasn't been a story of stagnation exactly, more one of never quite breaking through to the level many expected when he first emerged from the academy as a teenager. He signed a new long-term contract back when he was 21. At a time when the club were tying down the core of Klopp's squad for the years ahead, and there were genuine spells, particularly during Liverpool's title-winning campaign, where he looked like a genuinely important piece of the midfield rather than a fringe option. The issue isn't that he's never shown quality, it's that the peaks have never quite sustained themselves into the kind of consistent, undroppable output that silences a debate like this one before it starts. Now let's build the strongest possible case for keeping him, because it would be dishonest to pretend there isn't one. Iraola is a brand new manager who's barely had a full pre-season with this group. Judging any player, let alone one with genuine academy pedigree and multiple trophies already delivered, before he's had a proper run of matches inside a completely new system feels premature. There's also a real argument that Jones was never given a settled, defined role under slot, shuffled between a more advanced 8 and deeper positions depending on the week, which makes it genuinely hard to fairly assess whether his underlying numbers reflect his ceiling or simply reflect tactical inconsistency imposed on him from outside. Liverpool's own recruitment history is littered with players who needed a genuine positional reset under a new manager before their statistical output caught up with their underlying quality, and there's no guarantee Jones isn't one of those cases. There's also the emotional and cultural argument, which shouldn't be dismissed just because it's harder to measure statistically. Jones is the last remaining Scouser in Liverpool's first-team squad. A genuine academy success story in an era when homegrown players making it all the way through at a club this size has become increasingly rare. That carries real value to a fan base and a dressing room, even if it doesn't show up directly in a chance-created column. Now let's build the strongest possible case for selling, because Liverpool's actual situation this summer makes it more than a theoretical exercise. Inter Milan have been genuinely persistent, with multiple approaches through the summer, initially offering as little as £17 million before climbing steadily toward a reported €35 million proposal. And reports this week suggest Liverpool have finally lowered their own valuation from around €40 million to close that gap. Jones is entering the final 12 months of his contract, meaning Liverpool risk losing him entirely for nothing next summer, following the exact same pattern that saw Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ibrahima Konate and Mohamed Salah all depart as free agents in recent windows. He was also notably absent from Liverpool's friendly against Monaco, officially due to a minor hip issue that Iraola himself downplayed as nothing serious, timing that only added further fuel to speculation given how advanced Inter's interest had become by that point. Here's the uncomfortable financial reality underneath all of this. £35 million for a midfielder entering his final contract year, with genuinely uncertain tactical fit, under a brand new system, and facing at least 4 rivals for playing time who all arguably suit that system better, is exactly the kind of asset management decision Liverpool's recruitment department have shown they're willing to make without sentiment. Evidenced by exactly how they handled Alexander-Arnold and Konate's contract situations before this one. So here's the big question worth actually asking directly. If Liverpool were offered a serious transfer fee for Curtis Jones tomorrow, should they take it? I think they should. Not because Jones lacks talent, and not because the armband incident tells us anything definitive about his character. The fairest reading of that whole saga is still that it was overblown relative to how it was covered, but because the tactical picture and the numbers taken together point toward a player whose specific skill set increasingly overlaps with players who do the same job better inside Iraola's actual system. £35 million for a 25-year-old with 1 goal and 2 assists last season, entering a contract year, facing that level of internal competition, is a fair valuation Liverpool shouldn't risk losing for nothing in 12 months' time. Maybe Curtis Jones isn't finished as a footballer. Maybe Liverpool have simply reached the point where being a boyhood Liverpool fan and a good technical midfielder is no longer enough on its own. You have to prove you're one of the club's best midfield options, not just one of its most sentimental ones. And right now, that's the question Jones still hasn't answered on the pitch. Would you keep Curtis Jones or sell him? Let me know below.